Alright, this is Chip Moseley with Total Motion Physical Therapy, and it's time for another quick tip with Chip. Now, after decades of being married and having 5 children and never cooking, I decided just a couple months ago that it's about time I should start learning some stuff. But I didn't want to make it too complicated, but I wanted it to still be things that all my boys and my daughter and everyone would eat and enjoy. So today I'm going to show you how to make what's called our chicken enchilada. Now also this, you have to have an Instant Pot for this. This was something given to me by my mother-in-law. So I'm going to teach you how to make an Instant Pot chicken enchilada. Now the ingredients you're going to need are going to be like this. Now keep in mind I have a big family, so I've got a big like 4.5 pound thing of chicken. We're going to need about half a block of cheese and 1 thing of cream cheese. Bag of frozen onions. I like the red enchilada sauce, kind of the larger can that they sell. These could be Rotel brand, or it's just the diced tomatoes and green chilies. I need 3 of those. And I need 10 things of tortilla on there. So that's going to be the ingredients you start with. Alright, so the first step I'm going to do is I'm going to take my Instant Pot here. I'm going to add this to the middle. It's called the trivet. I find one of the more frustrating things I've had to do with the Instant Pot has been that I can burn stuff at the bottom of it. So if I add that little thing into the middle of it, that keeps it from getting burnt quite as much. So I do add that into it. And now I'm just going to chop up my chicken in about manageable size pieces, maybe about quarters or fifths or something like that. Nothing too fancy. And then I just throw that all in the pot. And I just do that for the entire thing of chicken that you saw at the start. The good like 4.5 pound chicken breast thing you can get from Walmart or wherever you like. I do need to make sure it's a large enough one for me. Now on one side note, actually just so you know, I have a large family as I mentioned before, so this would easily feed 8 people. If you don't eat that much, you could probably stretch it to 10. I will say this, I've had times I've fed this to only 5 or 6 people and they eat so much of it that we don't have a whole lot of leftovers because it's very well liked. But after you've added the chicken in on top of that little trivet thing it comes with, then you're going to add my jar of enchilada sauce here, the red enchilada sauce. And then my 3 cans of diced tomatoes with green chilies. They go right on top. Don't worry about mixing anything up right now, just add it all in. So you'll see this really isn't that complicated. The only time consuming part is just cooking it. So you have to allow a little bit of time for that. And then add my little bag of frozen onions. This is just something you get in the freezer. It's not even that large. Don't even see how big it is right here. About 10 ounces is that. So I just put that right on top. And now, for all intents and purposes, it's ready to cook. So it should look something like this this time, nothing real fancy. And then you just add on your top, like you normally do if you've had that. Twist your knobby thing till it's in that tight position where it won't let any air out. And you just set it for pressure cook. And I go 15 minutes. And then we're ready to go. Now remember, it may say it's cooking for 10 minutes, but if you haven't used an Instant Pot before, it does take 10 minutes or so to heat up before it starts cooking. So you want to make sure, see it's already just started right now, make sure to allow yourself a little bit of time. I usually just to allow for prep and whatnot, just to be on the safe side, I usually start making this about an hour before we might eat it. I probably could have made it quicker than that if I wanted to, but that's about right. So now this is going to heat up right now, and then we're just going to wait until it heats up and then cooks for 15 minutes. After that point, you twist the knob to release the pressure, and I'll show you what comes after that. Alright, so it heated up, it did its 15 minutes of cooking, and now comes really the only messy part. This is actually a really very simple thing to do. The only messy part is once this chicken cooks out some of its water, the onion cooks out some of its water and some of the sauces, at the end there is way too much fluid on this. It'll look something kind of like that. So what I want to do is I want to get it down to about this height on that fluid. And so I'm going to drain almost a half, almost 2/3 of what I see right there, just to get it down to a more manageable part. And then we'll add some more stuff to it in a second. So once you've drained all that fluid out, it'll look a little bit more like this. All right, but since I don't want those big chunks of chicken, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my spoon here. Now, if you have a hard time chopping things up, you could take the chicken out and actually put it on a little, chopper and do whatever you want. But this chicken's really moist at this point. So I'm just going to stir it around pretty good and smack it into the corners with a spoon until that gets to the nice little kind of almost shredded-y kind of look about it. One of the reasons why you don't actually get rid of all the liquid at the bottom is because once you shred up that chicken, it's actually, that liquid's going to get sucked up all in there. It gets all in there and nice and looks kind of like this kind of deal right here. Now, while the chicken's cooking for that 15 minutes, one of the things I also did is I took a pound of cheese. Now, if it was my wife, she would say that's too much. If it was my kids, they'd say that's too little. So I'm a cheese guy. Yeah. Now, by the way, you might be saying, all right, Chip, you're a physical therapist. You own a physical therapy clinic. This isn't necessarily the healthiest thing in the world. It's not the worst either, but it's not. We do eat healthier things sometimes as well. But yes, this is really popular. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be adding in some of the cheese here while we talk. Now, I took during that period of time 8 soft tortilla shells, and I chopped them up into little tiny bite-sized pieces too. And I'm going to add that in there too. And another thing I also did is I took just 1 block of cheese, cream cheese, and I chopped that up a little bit too, so I'm adding in there here as well. So all I'm going to really be doing is I'm just going to kind of stir a little bit, and then add a little more and stir a little bit of that mixture there. Now, also one thing I'm thinking as I'm doing this is that this is one of the recipes. I probably shouldn't do a Bill Cosby reference by modern day stances because he's not necessarily been very popular for good things in the last decade or so. But I remember back in the early 80s, I remember Bill Cosby himself, that he had that moment where he made the chocolate cake for breakfast for his kids. And the kids started singing the song about him, Dad is great, give us a chocolate cake. Yeah, and this is one of those things that your kids should be singing songs to you about. This is one of those meals. This thing is really good. If they're not singing to you, they should be singing to you anyway, because kids don't sing about how great their parents are enough as it is these days anyway. But also too, this is one of those things that everybody likes this. I have yet to make this for anybody who hasn't just praised this to death. And yes, you might also be saying, Chip, have you shrunk? Are you really that short? For the sake of the video, I am sitting. Normally I'd be standing up to stir this, but I'm the only person here right now who can operate the camera, so I'm self-amateuring this whole deal right here. But then I'm just going to stir this up, and I'm keeping it on the keep warm setting here on the Instant Pot. And after that, I'm going to put it on some plates, garnished with a little parsley on the top, and you'll see what it looks like. By the way, you may be thinking also about what's a nice side item or dessert. I find I rarely put a side item with this. This is actually a pretty good meal by itself, so it's not really that complicated. Dessert can be nice. I actually am doing tonight another little Instant Pot recipe I've got. It's a chocolate pot de creme. Tonight I'm using a white chocolate pot de creme. The very popular one is a dark chocolate one too. I'll save that recipe for another quick tip with Chip some other time. But let me stir this up and I'll let you see what it looks like in a sec. So once it's stirred up, it's going to look a little something like this. Now one thing I sometimes do, if I want to add a little kick to it, I'll put just a little dash of the hot sauce in there. Nothing too crazy. Or maybe I'll put even a little bit of chili sauce in there too if I like. Just enough, nothing too crazy, just enough to get a little bit of kick. And I'll stir that in too. That's up to you though. It depends on if you feel like you've had a I need spicy day today or not. Sometimes we have those days. On a plate with a little parsley. I'm telling you, this thing's good. You're going to be popular. All right, boys, what do you think about it when Dad makes chicken enchilada?
It's really good.